Welcome to Gaming for Grandparents. I'm Echo Pearl, and this is Minecraft. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe, and please hit the like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Now it's time to go back outside, and this time we're going to build a villager trading house. So even though I have a village nearby, I want to have my own villagers that I can trade directly with. So now it's just, where do I want to build this trading house? The first step is to try and figure out where I want it and then to terraform the land. But it's important to just kind of give me a flat space to build a nice house. I want to make sure that they have their equipment for their job, as well as have a bed where they can sleep and a space that they can feel safe. So I think this area will work, but I want to do some covering up of holes. And there's this cave right here that I don't want the villagers wandering into, getting stuck or getting lost. So I'm just going to build this out a little bit and just kind of prevent the villagers from going down there. And of course it's nighttime, so I am dealing with all the mobs out here. Okay, I think this is going to be good enough. I don't need it to be too large, but it does need to be comfortable for the villagers. So of course it's time for grabbing the blocks that I need, but first I'm going to mow the lawn by dumping water. And that just breaks all that grass that was standing up, and I'll do this a couple of more times just to get rid of it, and so that I don't have to deal with it when I am building. And again, I am in creative mode, which is why the skeleton is not trying to kill me, or the enderman is not trying to kill me. It's just because I'm in creative mode, so they're not bothering me, I'm not bothering them. We can just get down to business. And the first step is always picking the blocks. What blocks do I want to use for this space, and how do I want to do this? I don't know exactly why I do this, but I did this as far back as when I was a kid. I'd always use multiple colors to paint the exact same picture. And I do that with my villager trading houses. I prefer it if they have their own color. So I decided to continue with this polished stone. It's the same as the walkway, so it'll bring some continuity to the property. And I'm just going to make this very long for now, so it won't be very wide, but it will be pretty long. And my goal is to put about 10 to 12 villagers inside this building. So I always start with the outline, so I have an idea of the shape that I'm going with, and then it's just a case of building it up as I go. And I'm going to give the villagers windows, so I'm trying to block off different spaces to show the size of the rooms for the villagers. I have an idea of how I want the inside to look, but I don't necessarily have all of it mapped out. So taking this time to actually outline how I'm going to build each room, and I am going to expand this out, which means I'll add to the grass on the outside as well. And no, I did not employ that Enderman. He is just in my way. So it looks like I've got a few spaces. Now I'm just going to go with, like I said, each villager has their own color. So I'm going to give them a stained glass window that matches their floor. And I'm going to give them stained glass for a ceiling as well. So now I'm switching to red and just adding the wall there so I can put the window on it. And yeah, these Endermen are always in my way. But now I have the first rooms kind of started, so now I'm just going to build up the walls for each room. At some point in time, I do realize I've just blocked off my doorway. But I'll fix that later. For now, I have 2 rooms done. Now that I see how those 2 rooms are done, I'm going to go ahead and add the walls to the rest, and then I'll go back into my inventory and grab the other colors that I want to use for this. But it's all about starting out small with 1 or 2 things, and then deciding whether or not what colors I want to use and how big I want to go. But in the end, I think I end up with only 8 rooms instead of 10 or 12, but that's okay. Just time to get all of this brick in there. And now I'm trying to figure out the inside walls, because at some point in time I do need to add walls, but I need to put a door in there. So I'm just kind of seeing what I've got here. And now I have an idea of how I want the inside wall to look like by just experimenting with this section. But basically I just keep going and experimenting and just keeping up with what I was thinking I needed. And I realized that that was too long, so I had to shorten that up a little bit. And it's all about putting 1 block down at a time and just seeing what's working and what's not. But this is going pretty quickly, and it's pretty simplistic. But I do like what I'm doing here, and I'm content with what I've got built so far. And now I'm just going back in and finishing the interior rooms or interior walls so that, you know, they have a little bit of privacy. I don't think I'm going to actually give them doors. I'm just going to give them doorways. And now I'm just going ahead and putting my ceiling and floor in this middle section here. And I completely walked out of the building. And this is why I build with different colors, but I also prefer to put glass at the top so I can see exactly where the villagers are. So I can know, okay, he's in there, he's safe, that's good. And it helps me keep track of all of them. Now most of the time when I do this, I do the ceiling with the same colors as what I did for the bottom and the windows. But for right now I'm experimenting to see if I'm going to like just doing the glass like this, or if I'm going to change it back to a stained glass. Now I've also got to still put the floor in there, so I've got to find what floor do I want to put in this middle section. but I also need to have a step because I'm raising the floor up on the inside. And right now it is very dark in here and there's not a lot of headroom. So I'm not convinced I like having it so claustrophobic. I really don't like being in builds that because the character herself is only 2 blocks high. When you build a 2 block high ceiling, it just seems claustrophobic. So I probably will eventually lift that up because that's not going to work for me. So I want the villagers to have a house, not a dungeon to live in. So that ceiling being as low as it is just bothers me because it feels too much like a dungeon or a prison. And they'll be allowed to go outside. I'm going to give them doors so that they can go outside. So I don't want them to feel like they're trapped or anything like that. So I continue to change out the color of the block for the floor. And as I finish it, then I grab the glass that I need or the next colors that I want to work with. There's not a rhyme or reason as to what colors I'm putting where. I'm just doing a different color for each room. When I was in kindergarten and they asked me to draw or color in the picture, I would literally line my crayons up with different colors and I'd use every single one of those and just block off a portion of that picture so that every single one of those colors was being used. And when I was asked why, I said, well, I don't want my crayons to get jealous. So there you have it. That's what this all comes about with this colorful trading post is apparently even in Minecraft, I do not want the colors to get jealous. Each one of the villagers will have a different job and I will color coordinate the job with the room. And you'll see that color coordination as I start putting down the different blocks that represent their jobs. So now we just need a little bit of light in here, and then I will need to add some doors. But as you can see, I do not like that ceiling being so low, so it's gonna have to be fixed. So this is where I go in and I'm raising that middle aisle up, and I'm going to turn it into glass, which will make that brighter in that hallway. And so that's what I'm doing now is I've raised it up so it's not so claustrophobic and added it as glass, so now it doesn't feel as suffocating. Because again, my intentions were not to create a dungeon. But now I'm grabbing all the villagers' beds and I have all these different colors. So that's what I'm doing right now. And yes, just as the stained glass windows match the floor, the beds will also match the floor. So I'm trying to give them enough room for a bed, but I also need to put their tool down so that they can work. And now with that light and the color being in there, or the bed in there, they look a lot more respectable. Provided that I put the bed in the right place. So this is a black floor, I believe, so I went with a gray bed instead of a black bed, just to lighten it up a little bit. And then I have to find this lighter pink room or bed, so I'm just going to make that a white bed. Because believe it or not, that's supposed to be white terracotta floor, but it is coming across as a very light pink. So now I'm going to go in and add the glass there. Oh, hello, zombie. Man, he got in my face and pushed me around. Now I want to get a door, and I like the see-through doors. So I like to see if there's somebody on the outside. So I'm trying to decide if I like that door or I like that door. And I think I like that door better. So now I'll put some extra little torches up. And then I can just go in and just check and see. And I'm going to make it a little bit wider in here because I think it needs to be. Each one of these rooms need to be a little bit wider. And now I decide, well, maybe I should have a doorway right there too. Because this end of the building is actually closer to the house. So, and those are phantoms. When you don't sleep for several days, those guys show up and they will attack you. But of course I'm in creative mode, so I'm just getting up close to them and messing with them. But that's kind of how our villager house looks from the sky. But when I'm up here and there's actual villagers in there, I can actually see in there and see where all of them are. So I like having this glass ceiling that helps me see where the villagers are. So now it's time to get back into inventory, and now I want to grab their tools. So the first one is a Fletcher, then a cartographer, then I am going to grab the smithing table, I'm going to grab a composter for a farmer, I'm grabbing the lectern, a barrel for a fisherman. So since the farmer always wears a yellow hat, I'm putting the composter in that room. Since the lectern has red on it, I'm putting it in the red room. Probably going to put the barrel in the blue room because that's the room for the fisherman. And the pink room, the cartographer, that works. The white room, the Fletcher, that works. The black room or dark gray room is going to be the smithing table. So now I can get rid of all those tools and grab some more items here. So that is the stone cutter and a grindstone. Since the grindstone has brown on it, it can be brown. And let's see here. What else do I want? Okay, so it's nighttime, and this is important. I was waiting for nighttime because I want these villagers to immediately attach to a bed. So he's attached to the tool immediately, but it's not bedtime, so now he's wandering around, and I don't trust him, so I'm afraid he's going to go to a different bed. So now I've got to kill him. So I'm grabbing a sword, because if he attaches to the wrong bed, then that's going to mess things up, and it's going to mess up the fact that I'm trying to get these villagers to link directly to the bed and the tool in the same room, because otherwise they'll stand on top of each other and glare at each other and act like, oh, you're in my bed. So if I force them into the room and get them to attach to both the tool and the bed, then I shouldn't have that problem. I decided I didn't like that floor, so I'm going with a different floor. So since the black terracotta is more of a gray, I'm going to go with a black wool and go with a black bed. And then we have this black in the smithing table, and I think that will work. Alright, so now it's nighttime. Let's see if I can get him to link to the bed. He linked to the job, but then immediately ran outside. So I'm going to try and stop him from linking to any other bed. So I'm going to block off that door so he can't come in that door. Then I'm going to block off this room and the rest of the building so he's not linking to any other space but that space right there. And he immediately laid down, and that's all I want. Now I want him to make sure that he's linking to that tool. So now I can go ahead and put down that saw. I'm actually going to change from that job to a brew job, so I'm actually going to put a brew stand in there later. Okay, so far I've got 2, and this doggone skeleton got in and is just annoying me now. So I'll block him off in that room for now. Any rate, I got 2 of the villagers to link to their beds and their tools. That's the 3rd one linked to his bed and his tool. Alright, so that one is linked to that bed and that tool. He linked to the bed, but he has not linked to the tool. So I am going to do that. See if I can get this guy to link to the tool and the bed. He did. Alright, perfect. So this guy was going to go into that room, but there. He's linked to the bed, but he didn't link to the tool. So we will just shut him off until he does link to the tool. And now I've lost that skeleton, so now I'm trying to figure out where that skeleton is at. There he is. So now it's time to kill that skeleton. Get him out of my way. Get him to quit harassing my villagers. Alright, it doesn't look like that guy linked to the tool, so I'm going to block him off. And I'm just going to keep them in that room until they're linked to the tool. So they won't link now to the tool until the morning time. Okay, it's still nighttime, but I'm going to open up the door, which was a mistake because the zombie immediately goes in and starts terrorizing my villager. And that causes an iron golem to spawn to protect the villagers, but he's suffocating to death because the space is too small for him. So the farmer came back inside and he laid back down because it's still nighttime. And of course an enderman just drops a block anywhere. And of course the phantoms are now really out in mass because I haven't slept for probably 6 or 7 days. And there's our panda. But finally it's morning time, and I want to see, well, it's not morning time to the villagers yet. So I've got to wait for them to wake up, and then I can check to see if the ones in the blocked off section are taking their jobs or not. Yep, he took his job, he's free. Did he take his job? Yep, he took his job, he's free. And he took his job, he's free. Alright, so immediately, instead of working, they go outside. Okay, well, the villager trading house is done. So I can just go up here and see where they're at, and looks like all of them are back inside the building, and they are good to go for me to be able to trade with them. And that's how you get villagers to link to a specific bed and a specific tool. Now, I may break that tool until I get the trades I want, but in the meantime, that's our villager house. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want me to look at a specific game, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching Gaming for Grandparents, and if you get a chance, check out one of these other videos or the playlist. Thanks again. I appreciate your support.